This election in Georgia will be the most important in the history of ever. You have nothing to worry about unless you are a taxpayer, a business owner, a parent, a gun owner, a cop, a person of faith, or an unborn baby.
That was Senator John Kennedy on what is at stake in Georgia, where two Senate runoff elections in early January will determine the balance of power in the Senate. Campaign contributions pouring in from both sides, with each party's ground game set to ramp up in coming weeks. Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton now joins us. What is at stake in Georgia, Senator? Good morning.
Good morning, Sandra. Well, pretty much everything is at stake in Georgia when it comes to the United States Senate and the Democrats' radical agenda. If the Democrats elect Jon Ossoff, a trust fund socialist, and Raphael Warnock, Jeremiah Wright's biggest supporter in Georgia, Chuck Schumer will be the majority leader. And your listeners probably heard what Chuck Schumer said in the streets of New York last week. First we take Georgia, and then we change America. And how do they plan to change America, Sandra? It's not just raising your taxes or taking away your health insurance on the job or confiscating your gun. They plan to do those things. But they also want to pack the Supreme Court. They want to make Washington, D.C. a state to pack the Senate. They want to eliminate the Electoral College. The president is elected by a handful of megacities. They want to pass an amnesty that would grant legal status and ultimately voting rights to 15 million illegal aliens. They want to radically change this country. But I know the good people of Georgia are not going to allow them to do that on January 5th.
You referenced Chuck Schumer's comments on Georgia over this past weekend. Here they are.
Now we take Georgia, and then we change the world. Now we take Georgia, and then we change America.
As you know, big money is pouring into this race, these races down there, Senator. What do you see ultimately happening? What's the message from your party?
Well, I think Chuck Schumer basically just gave us our central message. I suspect Georgian voters may see that clip on a few ads between now and January 5th, because those are the stakes of this race, that Chuck Schumer and the Democrats want to fundamentally change America. The Republicans want to protect America. It's also going to be very important that Georgia voters have a chance to review Kelly Loeffler opponent's Raphael Warnock record. He largely skated by throughout the general election because there were like 25 candidates running. But Raphael Warnock is a true radical. Look, it's a pretty widely known secret in Washington that Chuck Schumer and the Democrats didn't want Raphael Warnock as their candidate. Stacey Abrams forced him through, though, and it's because he is so radical. He celebrated Fidel Castro. He has celebrated Jeremiah Wright. He even was arrested for obstruction of justice into an investigation of child abuse at his summer camp. Now, he has not answered questions about that. Why he was arrested for obstructing justice, what was the nature of the suspected child abuse at that camp. He needs to answer those questions today, or he needs to withdraw from this race.
I mentioned the money that is pouring into these races, Senator. Mark Cuban is going on the record saying, don't do it. Don't put your money towards these races. Don't put it towards politics. Put it towards good use. Put it towards charity. He says, for those considering donating to Reps or Dems in the Georgia Senate runoffs, can you please reconsider and donate that money to your local food bank and organizations that can help those without food or shelter? Let's put Americans in need above politics. To be sure, I believe, Senator, he said he will be doing both. But I wanted to get your reaction to that.
Well, I would encourage everyone to do both. Pitch in a few bucks for Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue, and pitch in a few bucks for your local church or food bank or Wounded Warriors. That's a very worthy sentiment. But I can tell you this much. If the Democrats get control of the United States Senate and Joe Biden wins the presidency, then you're not going to have much money next year to give to any charities because they're going to raise your taxes and leave you with a lot less money in your paycheck each week.
I want to read this to you from a Wall Street Journal headline on what President Trump may or may not do come 2024 if he does not win the current presidency. As Trump focuses on 2024, aides Mueller agenda for final days. He says the president's attention has been on his legal fight and a possible comeback bid, not a policy to-do list for the next 2 months. So, Senator, I'll put it to you. What do you see President Trump's role in the Republican Party for the next 4 years?
Well, Sandra, I know everyone likes to speculate about the next election, but I think we should try to put this election on the books before we move on to that speculation. You know, the president has a recount going in Georgia right now. He has multiple lawsuits. He just won an important ruling in Pennsylvania yesterday in one of those lawsuits. And we have these two vital runoffs in Georgia on January 5th. So before we move on to 2022 or 2024, I think we should put 2020 on the books first.
Yeah, Kayleigh McEnany suggesting that he's going to have an impact on this party and on this country for decades to come. Here she is with that. I'll get your response.
He has 72 million people who love him, who want to show up and support him. His base is strong, and there is no denying that this president is the titular head of our party for many decades to come.
Senator, your name has been floated around as a possible 2024 candidate. Are you thinking about it?
Well, Sandra, let me say this about Donald Trump's influence on our party. We did not win control of the Senate. We did not gain seats in the House. We did not pick up legislators in spite of Donald Trump. We won because of Donald Trump, who brought millions of new voters into our party, first in 2016 and then even more amazingly, again this year. And he did so by changing a lot of Republican orthodoxies, by opposing bad trade deals, by opposing the importation of cheap foreign workers to take our jobs here at home, by standing up to mobs in our streets. That's the agenda of the Republican Party going forward. And anyone who thinks that we're going to go back to the pre-Trump era of bad trade deals and open borders, they're just not thinking clearly about things.
Just to circle back on the question, are you considering a run?
Sandra, again, I'd like to put 2020 on the books. I'm going to be working hard to reelect my two colleagues down in Georgia before we move on to the next election.
All right. We will have all eyes on Georgia and what happens next there. And we'll hear from you, it sounds like, a bit later. Senator, thanks for your time this morning.